JJ. How are you doing today?
Doing alright, how are you?
Good. The first question I wanted to ask you is it okay if I film our session today?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about was your high school experience. Like, what do you remember from high school?
Well, obviously the most recent memories would come from from senior year, but just overall, it's just I had a great time in high school. It wasn't more about building on my resume for colleges. As I was getting recruited by some Ivy League schools, so that was great. But my senior year was the year that I kind of flourished athletically.
Okay.
Started to get my offers.
And what sports did you play?
I played football, basketball, and lacrosse.
Okay, cool. And what sports were you getting, like, calls from school about? Was it one sport or was it all three sports?
It was all three, but mostly football and lacrosse. Because I'm alright at basketball, but I was just gonna be playing D3 if that was the only schools that were calling me for basketball.
So athletics has always been a big thing in your life, or did that start once you got into high school?
It's been the thing in my life. It's the only thing. I mean, I shouldn't say the only thing, but it's a realm where you can see. I feel as if you can see in a person their religion, their values, which come from their religion, because you see how they play and how they conduct themselves. And also you can see what type of person they are. If they're a type of person who doesn't give much effort in athletics, it probably translates the type of person that they actually are. And so that's I find athletics to be the measuring stick to how I view myself and how I view others.
Okay. And then is that kind of from you, or has that been family based? Like, is that kind of how your whole family thinks, or is that more towards yourself?
It's intrinsically motivated, but my dad was a huge football player in high school. He was one of the top players in Canada at that time he was playing, but he got hurt his senior year and ended up just focusing on academics, which is an important part of my family. But athletics is a huge deal.
Okay. How you kind of brought faith into what you were saying about how you view a person. How do you think that your faith reflects what kind of athlete you are? Or as a person, what kind of person you
are? I try to live very pluralistically. Even though I don't know, most people don't know much about the LCMS Lutheran Church, or the Lutheran Church and in general. But it tends to be quite conservative and non-pluralistic. But athletics, you really don't care about. You don't care about what type of faith the person has, or what type of background they're from. That's your boy. Those are your teammates. And situational girls, they become sisters, and just athletics become a huge part of everything. Like we have a couple Muslims on our team right now. Involved the football team, and when we have chapel, a couple of them come, because it's just a time of meditation with your teammates. So the whole thought of, like I said, when faith comes into athletics, it's not simply just Christianity or being a Lutheran. It's about a pluralistic mindset that's your team, and prayer becomes meditation. Meditation becomes reflected in our actions.
With you being a Christian and you having Muslim teammates, is that difficult, or do you interact with them the same way as you would a fellow Christian athlete?
Yeah, probably it's subconsciously there probably is some type of difference in the way I talk to them, the way I deal with them, but it tends to be exactly the same in my opinion, because we don't really see that. It's not a very huge part. We know it's a part of our identity, but it's not like the end all be all.
Yeah. And when you talk about football, I'm sure it's probably about the same, but have you ever talked to them about like your life situations and just kind of like cultural things?
Like how so?
Like just different things going around in the United States or in the world. Do you ever see yourself having different views as them, even though you are still teammates?
Yeah, we all have different views, especially with like with the Ferguson case. It was a very when we came back from Thanksgiving break. Oh, yeah, but excuse me. We saw that we all have different views on the topic because we have everything from the Republican Christian to the liberal Muslim on our team, and so there was a very huge. Like some people thought he shouldn't be indicted at all because he didn't do anything wrong. He was simply just doing his duty. Some people thought that, some blacks on the team thought that it was a racist move by the cop. So dealing with that situation and dealing with that situation specifically, yeah, there are a lot of different views on it. But I mean, we all coexist. I hate using the word coexist, but we all dwell amongst each other despite our differences.
Yeah. Does that ever affect the way that the games go or the way practices go, or do you kind of leave that off the field?
No, it's completely off the field.
Okay.
When it comes to games or practices, it's business. It's just like working with your coworkers, values and things and outside conversations kind of just go out the window.
Okay. And then how do you relate with your coaches? Because I know they're definitely older than you. Because I know you do have a new coaching staff. How has the team adjusted, and how have you adjusted to that? And is it good or bad?
It's a great adjustment. The old head coach, my name was Josh.
Okay. And how long did you play with him?
It was only a year.
Okay, but a year.
Yeah, and just something as simple as knowing somebody's name, and knowing when you're outside of the rim and just working together. It's nice to just sit down and talk to them. They do offer themselves as counselors, and they offer their help a lot.
Okay, so it's definitely a beneficial situation, positive atmosphere that you're in right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. I especially from last year, it was night and day. But when you start winning, you just end up in a better mood. You end up in a better situation. Period. But I mean, even when we were struggling this season, it seemed as if they were very supportive and they were very willing to help us, especially with our school and our life in general.
And then, because your season last year was so different from your season this year, do you think that it was mainly the leadership positions that affected it, or do you think it was the mindset, or combination of both, or what do you think was a really big factor in why you had such a different season?
Well, I'll start with the leadership portion of your question. It was definitely a difference from top to bottom, starting with our athletic director, Mark LaBarbera. He ended up taking a more efficient role with the football program, providing funds for us to even have because we usually have pregame breakfast, but we never really had a pregame dinner. And even providing funds like that, it makes a difference. Those little things, something as simple as knowing your name. And he's put a better effort into knowing our names and to knowing things about the football team. Because I mean, the athletic department has been mostly basketball driven, and last year we felt like the bastardized version of the athletic department. We have the least updated locker room, we have the least updated uniforms, and we also, which I found out, we in profit last season we made the same as the volleyball team.
Okay.
Which is not the way a football program should be. I mean, you should definitely make more than $8,000 in profit. So we actually, I'm pretty sure we might have tripled that this year or something in that sense. So it's starting with that is just the attitude towards the football program has changed, and then going from the athletic director to the head coach. Head coach is Dave Caccini. He's a better leader than Dale Carlson ever was. I mean, because of his experience at Harvard, his experience at the Citadel, his experience at Lehigh. He offered a new aspect, and he completely impressed. I remember the first workout we had with him, with the new coaching staff. It was crazy. People were throwing up, but it was that moment that I saw that we were about to change the corner. And then going from that to the leadership on the team, I had to fulfill a role that I have not fulfilled in college yet, and that was stepping up and being a leader. I mean, I was a captain in all three sports in high school, but it's different because that's more of a controlled environment. Here, you got to be a grown man about some things. You got to let some things go, and you got to step up a lot more. And ended up having to step into that role. In my mid-season, I was looked to be leader, and I'm looking. Coaches are looking at me to be a captain this upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
So, the leadership standpoint, they've made us into better leaders, but it all started from the athletic department.
Okay. So it's definitely a combination of both, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then, how has your family kind of been a part of this whole situation? Like, I know you are in college, so how often do you get to see them, and do they support you in playing football, and how do they support you in your academics?
Well, I wish my mom supported me more athletically.
Mm-hmm.
She just doesn't understand football. She ran track in college, but she doesn't understand football, so she does not very interested in it whatsoever. And she also doesn't understand what I'm studying, which is the philosophy and theology.
Okay.
And so, and I wish my mom could be more involved.
Mm-hmm.
If I was working either with kids, what she wants to do, or what she does, I should say, and what she wishes I wanted to do, and she wishes I ran track, so she could actually be interested. But my dad, well, like I said, my dad played football. My dad studied theology and philosophy.
Okay.
So just in that, me and my dad have a close relationship when it comes to things that I do, academically, athletically. But I wish my mom understood my life a little bit more.
Have you ever tried to sit down with her and kind of teach her a little about the game, or have you just kind of?
Yeah, it's too frustrating. I wish not to, and I don't think she really has an interest in learning. And there was a couple times this year she came to the game and she left at halftime, or she just came at the end, and I just kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. But I mean, nothing you can do. People really don't change very often.
Have you tried like different approaches in teaching the game? Kind of just like little hints every now and then, like if you're watching football on TV, just kind of like, hey mom, this is what that means, and just kind of instead of sitting down for a session to teach about the entire game of football, have you just tried doing like little things, or do you usually just get frustrated with each other?
I just really don't have an interest in teaching her.
Okay.
Like that whatsoever.
Have you told her how you felt about her not coming to the games, or only coming to parts of the games? Like, does she know how you feel?
Yeah, she does, but I mean, I'm not by any means saying my mother is a bad mother.
Mm-hmm.
Just in that aspect, she is. It's pretty horrible, in my opinion. But that's just not what she does, you know. In high school, she was able to make more games. She came to more games in high school because my dad was busier. You know, he has a job where he doesn't have to travel as much.
Mm-hmm.
And both my parents both work at Valparaiso University now. So that's I do see my parents a lot. Sorry, I missed your first question though. But it's just different when it comes to athletics. And that completely controls my life. It controls what I eat, controls how I conduct myself, almost as if it's a rigorous religion. And when your mother is not a part of such a thing, such a discipline, it's very, very hard. But it's not something I can't overcome.
Right. You said that your dad played football and you have the same major as him. Do you think because of that close relationship, it kind of makes up for the lack of closeness in this aspect of your life that you have with your mom? Or do you think you're still missing that even though your dad is so close?
Oh, it makes up for it. I'm not really too worried about it. Because me and my mother are closer in different ways.
Okay.
Than in football or discussing philosophers, theologians. So it's not.
Okay.
Not that it's damaging our relationship. It definitely doesn't aid it.
Okay.
In any way, shape, or form.
Okay. And then you said that you were closer with your mom in other aspects. What aspects are those? Are you closer with her?
Well, I can never talk to my mom about. Or I never talked to my dad about my girlfriend. He just won't. He won't listen. Yeah. Because he's not very interested in that. Yeah. But my mother likes gossip, so she enjoys listening to that. And me and my mom watch. I started a TV show. I started watching Scandal.
Okay.
and How to Get Away with Murder, which were both on Thursday nights, and that was an aspect where I found I could somehow relate to my mother.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I mean they're very both philosophical shows. People just don't see it that way.
Yeah.
So taking my father's approach to life and applying it to something that my mother thoroughly enjoys, that was an easier way for me and my mom to get along, or to have something in common.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so then, so you get to see your family a lot, well, at least your parents. But how do your friends play in relation to your life? Like, how do you interact with them? Do you have a lot of close friends, or very few close friends, or what's like kind of your friends' dynamic?
I got over 90 brothers every single year because of football, and that's I take that in the literal sense. Because I had 5 older sisters growing up. I don't have a brother of my own, so literally these are all my brothers, and we're all really really close as a team. I mean, yeah, we argue. Yeah, those are brothers too. We get over it. We fight sometimes, but I really do. I absolutely love my team. I love my guys. I mean, they would do anything for me. Just I always do the same for them without even asking a question about the thing that I asked them to. So it's been a huge part of my college experience, and no other class I take, no other games we win can add up to the fact that I love my team, and we all love each other.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any friends outside of the football team, or is it just kind of limited to them?
Yeah, I mean, as athletic department, I think we're at Valparaiso is pretty close. Well, I mean, we're pretty close friends with the women's soccer team, the men's basketball team, and the tennis team. I mean, we all know each other. We all know of each other, and sometimes we actually do find ourselves hanging out with them.
Okay.
So and that's an aspect that I really enjoy, is the bond between all the teams at Valpo.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then anyone outside of the athletics department?
Yeah. Mostly because my girlfriend's in a sorority, and I was selected as like their male representative around campus, and so that's a way I try to just ease out of the just being friends with people involved in athletics. And I get to know some sorority girls, and then through them I know their boyfriends who are mostly in fraternities. So then it get a little splash and taste of everything.
Is she an athlete?
No, she's not.
Okay. Does that ever affect like your relationship and how? Because it seems like athletics is such a big aspect of your life, and if that's not in hers, does that ever affect you in your relationship?
Very much so. I mean, selfishly, do I wish she was an athlete? Yes, because that's a huge part of it, and maybe and then sometimes I don't respect what she does because she's not an athlete, and I know that. Even she knows that, but I mean, that's not an excuse of the way sometimes I treat her activities. I don't think they're important. Whereas if she were to say play volleyball, I'd be at every game excited because of how much I enjoy athletics in general.
Yeah. Have you ever tried anything to like kind of get away from kind of those feelings of not respecting what she does as much as if she did play a sport? Like, have you ever tried to change, or is it just kind of something that you just kind of put on the back burner?
Well, I believe that most people, as much as they don't want to admit it, we're all stuck in a concrete operational stage, as they call it in psychology. Whereas you have these set things that your feet cannot get out of because they're embedded in concrete, as your thoughts are. So yes, I have tried to, but it's mostly just going to be pretending because there's always, as I mentioned earlier, subconsciously, the subconscious thinking. There's always this subconscious thing. Well, I wish she was an athlete.
Right.
But I mean, there are times where I've tried to change. For instance, she the Daggerman thing. That's what the male representative is called for a sorority. And I know how important that was for me to do that. And so I do it, and I try to have a relationship with her friends. And that's one way I can show that
Right.
without actually having to pretend at the events. But sometimes, and I know she probably doesn't enjoy football as much as I do, and she has to sit through that. So
Yeah.
I have to sit through some things as well.
Yeah. Is there anything else you've ever tried to do in order to kind of better understand it, or is it just kind of something
Understand
that
what?
just kind of what's important to her if you can't relate to it?
Yeah, but simply just asking questions.
Okay.
And asking why is this important? I mean, I may come
Yeah.
off as an asshole about it, but just asking her why is it important?
Yeah.
What importance does this hold for like next week?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Okay. So just, I think that's one way you can try to. It's the only way you can try to understand something, just by asking questions. And I try to, then like as she's like going through, I mean, she was VP of recruitment for a sorority, so then I'd ask her. And as she's going through recruitment for a sorority, we are going through recruitment for football. So that actually helped out a lot. So I asked her, so what is this? How does this apply to football?
Okay. Yeah. So kind of making the connections between the two and trying to find similarities. Yeah. Now, do you ever find it difficult because she doesn't understand you? Yeah. And what you do? And like, what do you wish she would do for that?
I just wish I don't think there's any way she can actually understand. I mean, because there are certain things in this life that we live that you can only know by experience. You can only know by going through it. I mean, Immanuel Kant, the philosopher, might disagree. Actually, we would disagree. You don't need to know things by experience. And his example that he uses was you don't have to know that dog poop tastes bad. Yeah. By eating it, you already know. As a term of intuition, but I don't think she could ever understand like the athletic realm of life and how it is a discipline, and it's not just simply something you do.
It's not just playing a game.
It's a lifestyle. Right. It's a complete choice.
So I'm kind of seeing similarities between your relationship with your mom and then with your girlfriend, just kind of how, like, your mom doesn't really get it and your girlfriend doesn't get it. And I've noticed that you haven't really tried to make them understand. Is there a reason why, or you just don't think they would ever be able to understand? I don't think they ever will be. And it would be an exhaustive effort. With to no avail. But if it's going to kind of like help your relationship, you still don't want to.
No, because I would never. It's part of the reason why I think I do love my mom and my girlfriends, because they're different than that. Okay. I don't, and none of my relationships with athletes have worked out in the past. Okay. And it's maybe because of the competitive nature to always not necessarily one up each other, but I think that's a healthy mix, because by her not being involved in athletics, I am becoming a more well-rounded individual and learning a different type of life. Okay. Other than just being an athlete.
Okay. So how do your athletics kind of relate to your schoolwork? Like, do you ever notice that? Do you always put academics first and then athletics, or how does that?
No, athletics come first.
And how does that relate to how you conduct your day and how all of that goes in together?
Well, during the season, I put sleep over homework, because you need sleep in order to perform. Okay. And if I'm not done by 10 with my homework, I'm gonna try to start going to sleep. Okay. And that has hindered academic progress. I mean, my GPA has gone down, especially this year when I had to step into the found myself having to step into a leadership role, and I was gone down because I was worried about how the other guys were doing, you know. Yeah. But that it's part of my life I can live with. Okay. Going down, because that's my choice.
Okay. So you don't want to kind of move towards the higher GPA that you normally had? You're kind of set in stone in where you are, and you're okay with where you're at.
I mean, no, because I hate being mediocre in any aspect of life. But you gotta. I don't know. I don't know how. I wonder how it would be if I didn't, because I enjoy hanging out with my boys. I enjoy hanging out with my girlfriend. I enjoy hanging out with all my friends. I enjoy the social aspect of, especially after a long day of meetings, football meetings and practice, and long road trips. I just want to come home and come back and just kind of get away from it.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why I like her not being involved in athletics. My girlfriend, that is, because I can get away from that. I don't have to hear about athletics all the time.
Yeah.
Although I absolutely love it, but there's balance. But yeah, I usually do have a higher GPA. I mean, it's gone down from 3.4 to I think it's going to be like a 2.8.
Okay.
Now, and that's like 2.8, 2.9, somewhere around there. I mean, it's frustrating, but I can live with that.
Okay.
Because you can't be good. You cannot be excellent at every single thing. Something has to give.
Okay. Now, because if athletics is so big and academics is kind of put on the back burner, even though we are at a university, how do you think that's going to affect after graduation? Like, do you think you're later in your life you're going to regret what you did at college?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. Because that's the whole mission of this university. It's not to build, how can we build the best systematic student? How can we build the best systematic student athlete, even that?
Okay.
It is, how can we, the university wants well-rounded individuals, and I understand that's a very broad term, but as I look more after graduation, I try to deal with things in the present, but as I look towards the future, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
Okay.
It seems that as if employers, and the Career Center has showed me this, employers will do look at college athletes because of the rigorous schedule they have to go through, the discipline required to do such a thing, and to at least be okay at both.
Okay.
And so I think that being a student athlete will ultimately help me out with whatever job I end up doing.
So you have gone to the Career Center?
Yeah, I've gone because of the class I took, career development. She kind of forced us to go.
Okay. And did you enjoy that experience?
Yeah,
or?
I thoroughly did. I'm starting to go back. My strong interest in Victoria was quite helpful.
Okay.
I got 70. I scored a 71 in the athletic realm.
Okay.
Which is.
Do you remember any of your other scores?
Yeah, I scored a 20 in mathematics.
Okay.
And spirituality or like religious thinking. I scored I think it was actually higher than athletics, if I believe so.
Okay. So with your major being philosophy and religion, but then having such an emphasis with athletics, were you kind of hoping that you end up after graduation just to kind of see like where you're at?
I mean, if you were to combine the two perfectly, I think that, especially with me being a Lutheran, I think that being a Lutheran school PE teacher and teaching some theology courses would not be a horrible idea.
Okay.
Wouldn't be a horrible occupation at all. I feel like I'd be quite satisfied. Also, I have three possibilities right now, and also pastor. Pastor would be my second choice. A parish pastor at a church. So I'm looking into that as well. Youth pastor goes along with that. I think that'd be good. And coaching goes along with the PE teacher as well.
Okay.
And then the third thing would be playing professionally. Okay. I mean, obviously the goal would be the NFL, because why wouldn't you try to do such a thing, especially in a short amount of time? You have to make an impact in this world. And it would also promote the university if I end up playing professionally. It would just be another marketing tool to help the university flourish, which is what I hope it does in the long run. And so I would say though that I would love to play professionally, even in the NFL or the Canadian Football League, which seems more plausible.
You keep going back to the university, and I just want to know, what's your relationship with the university? I know your parents work here. Have they always worked here? Did you grow up in the Valpo area?
No, no. I mean, it's just this type of pride I have with it's what I'm involved in. But my parents just started working here with the year I came here, which was last year,
Okay.
last school year, and so this is the third semester that we are here, my parents and I. But I think that, I mean, that's just the way I operate. I have pride in
Okay.
whatever I'm involved in. High school, I mean, I love my high school. They just changed their name to try to better market for students, especially in that DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. It's hard to find. It's hard to get private school students because there's so many great private schools. So I've done interviews back home with the papers trying to get people to come. I just have pride in anything that I touch, because whenever I touch, whatever I'm a part of, I want it to be great.
Okay.
And so the university, I will always be tied back unless they screw me over in some way, some sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have a favorite class right now that you can kind of say is your favorite class and how that relates to you?
I really enjoyed my Islamic culture and religion class.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just the lively discussion that Melanie Trexler, Dr. Trexler, she promoted. She's from Roanoke College. She had her PhD in the Islamic realm, and I love the fact that she promoted good questions. We looked at current events like the Mind Jihad movement in Chicago, the ISIS situation.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at terrorism. So we touched on real things: the Crusades, Christians killing Muslims within the Ottoman Empire, and I loved learning about it, and I loved asking questions. And it really, I did not know much about Islam. I knew the basics, but it was a great experience, and I believe that was one of the true testaments of what this university is, and a pluralistic place full of questions, answers, and ideas.
Okay. Do you have a least favorite class right now? And why do you think it's your least favorite?
Probably my I would say least favorite of all of them was probably my German class. It's just I had to miss a lot. My German class I had to miss a lot because of football traveling, and so it's hard to catch up on all the classes that I missed. And it was 5 or 6 classes I had to miss because of traveling, and that's a lot within the language.
Yeah.
I never really got caught up to it. I mean, I have a B in the class, not like I'm failing, but it's just my least favorite because I wish I was good or better at it. But I enjoy it. Oh, excuse me, it's just the scheduling conflicts which really made it. And it was 8 a.m.
Okay.
Within the football season. That was hard. There was times where I had to go to 8 a.m. class, 9 a.m. lifting, have a little meal with the team because we have to do that. Then I have class, meetings, practice. So that was part of the reason why I don't like German.
Yeah. Okay. And then, do you think, with athletics being like your number one priority, do you think those are some of the reasons? I mean, I know you said with the German class it was difficult because you missed some class periods, but do you think that your value in athletics and religion kind of affected the reason why your favorite class was the Islamic religion classes, or do you think it was just something that interested you and if it would have been a different teacher, would it maybe not have been your favorite class?
It would have maybe not have been. She's a great professor. It's her first year here too. She's done a great job of incorporating the university mission within her class. But I think it was just something that it struck me. It struck me as interesting. I would like to learn about the Islamic culture or Islamic religion, period, because it's one of the big 3 monotheistic religions, with Christianity and Judaism serving as the other 2. So it's something, but it's the most misconstrued. It's the most controversial religion because of how Al Qaeda, excuse me, has used the Quran and used the religion to promote such violent acts. But and then I thought about that. Sorry, I'm rambling on right here about it. But I thought about that in terms of the KKK as well, and how they've used Christianity to promote such violent acts. Mm-hmm. So I would hate for that to be the poster child and the portrayal of Christianity, mm-hmm. being the white supremacy groups. Mm-hmm. But Al Qaeda is the face of Islam, mm-hmm. and that would break my heart if KKK had to do that for my own religion. Mm-hmm. Absolutely break my heart. Yeah. And I would do everything in my power to try to change that, and I believe some Muslims are trying to change that entire. Then the concept of jihad, it's actually not. There's two jihads. There's lesser jihad and greater jihad. Mm-hmm. Al Qaeda promotes lesser jihad, which is if somebody does something wrong to you, yeah. you then do something wrong to them as a defense mechanism. So that's why they attacked America. But beside the point, the greater jihad means the inner struggle you have with following God's will and following God, period. Okay. And just doing and promoting a great lifestyle and cultivating your religion, mm-hmm. to reach what in Greek philosophy they call eudaimonia, which is human flourishing, human happiness. And so to learn about that was fascinating, mm-hmm. because I was always under the impression that jihad meant holy war. Okay. But like I said earlier, drawing back to that with the KKK, I would hate for that to be. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to seek enlightenment and truth within their religion. There's still things wrong with it.
Right. Yeah. What I've noticed kind of over our time talking, we're coming closer to the end, but I just want to kind of go over some summary things. I know you value athletics a lot more than your academics, but while we were talking, I've definitely noticed that in everything you say, you bring academics back into it. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up because I thought that was a really big strength that maybe you don't see, is you don't see how invested you are in your academics. And even though your GPA is going down, I definitely think you need to kind of relook at things and like you are learning and you are kind of understanding those things because you're definitely bringing it into just the regular everyday conversation. And then also I just wanted to bring to your attention, instead of like saying stuck into your views, kind of like look at other people's views, because multiple times you said, well, that's just the way it is. And so I just wanted to kind of like bring to your attention that you can definitely change things for positive reasons. I did want to go over this paper with you, so you can fill this out. So I'll fill out the top part of it, but we can go over the questions. Here, you can use this. So the first question is, what one thing stood out for you from this interview? What might you remember and take home with you? So you can kind of say what you think and then write it, or you can write it and then read it out loud afterwards.
You want me to read it out loud?
Yeah.
So I said to the first question, what one thing stood out for you from this interview? What might you remember and take home with you? I said her eye contact and an investment in what I was saying. Showed great communication skills. And did the interviewer listen to you? Did you feel heard? Circle words and a numerical rating. Yeah. Felt completely heard. And do I strongly agree that she... Is that what... Circle?
Yeah, so you would circle, like, on the scale.
Did the session help you understand an issue, opportunity, or problem more fully? Yeah. I would probably put about a 5 on that. because you did identify the issues I'm having, and I probably should put academics more, and my probably should listen to my mother and my girl a little bit more, but yeah, I should do that. Yeah, though I don't feel necessary in some aspects, but I should. Do you feel you gained a better understanding of yourself today? Yeah, I strongly, oh, yeah, I strongly agree with that. I did not mean to put a 5 on the first one. On the last one, I meant to put a 3. I was thinking in terms of 10.
That's okay.
10 being the highest. Yeah, I strongly agree. I gained a better understanding of myself. And maybe conversation and dialogue does allow you to, when you say your thoughts out loud, you understand. You can try to kind of put it in coherent. Although I'm very incoherent at times in the way I speak, just based on the way I process my thoughts. But yeah, I do think that I gained a lot better understanding of what I value in terms of priorities. Did you discover any ideas about how to address an issue, opportunity, or problem more fully as a result of this session? Yeah, I'd probably put a 3 as well, not a 5. But I do think that I probably should listen and probably try to incorporate my girlfriend, my mother, into athletic or the football realm. I should try to put more of an effort and not see it as a lost cause. That's extremely rude of me, and I would hate for them to do the same. I would feel pretty poopy if they did the same thing to me if I didn't understand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was very productive. Is that right?
There's a vaccine.
Oh, there's a vaccine.
Yeah.
Oh, what, if anything, did the interviewer miss that you would have liked to explore today or in any other session? Let's be specific, please. I wish you would have insulted me a little bit more. To be quite honest, or try to critique, I should say, of myself. More, I understand it's quite difficult thing to do. What did you find helpful? What did the interviewer do that felt right? Just to have you on. Excuse me. Be specific, please. What did you do? I've really enjoyed your communication skills. I mean, you were taking notes. Taking notes was a huge thing. Taking notes of what I was saying. It showed interaction. Asking specific questions. About certain topics. Will you consider taking any action, do something differently in terms of changing your thinking, feeling, or behavior? Yeah. I'll listen more to what my girlfriend and my mom are saying. I think I just have a problem with listening to women in general, or females in general. I don't know why that is. I think I do disrespect females a little bit in their terms of thinking, and that's something I need to identify and probably adjust.
Okay.
It's just the way they talk sometimes. It's kind of
It's different from the way that.
Yeah, and it could be seen as shallow and pedantic, but it's alright. I need to understand that that's be more closer than that. In terms of sexist.
So then for this next section, you can just circle the statements that you agree with. Just so that you don't have to read the whole.
Oh wait, oh, just read all these.
Yeah, so you can just circle and then read out loud the ones that you agree with. So like all these statements. So like the ones that you agree with.
Can I just circle?
Yeah, you circle them and then read
Okay.
them out loud.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I should probably read the directions. That's one thing I need to do better too. Read directions. I did enjoy our time together. Got me thinking. I don't know if you were too. You're semi. I'll underline this. Might have been too quick to problem solve. You know, with like discussions with my mom. Some things might just be better left, but that's up for discernment. I do feel supported. But you were definitely supporting my mother and my girlfriend a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a lot. I wish we had more time. That'd be nice. So differently was time. Surprisingly helpful. I thought this was just going to be just a talk. So I gave you a 3 and a smiley face.
Thank you.
With this tongue out. Then another one.
Alright, well, thank you, and I look forward to talking to you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.